Do you feel like an imposter? Today, we're not gonna lie.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of NGL, and today we're here to talk about something that is apparently quite common. So we're here to talk about imposter syndrome. So I did a little bit of a search in preparation for today's shoot, right? And apparently in Singapore, 3 in 4 people have imposter syndrome.
Well, I'm not surprised.
So today, 1, 2, 3, 4 lah, right? So apparently I'm the one who doesn't have imposter syndrome.
That's why you get that chair, is it?
Yeah, the counselor chair. Today is
Yeah, she's
therapy.
gonna counsel us.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how well I do. So what is imposter syndrome, right? Essentially, it is when you don't feel like you match up to other people's expectations or impression of you and your competence. So you feel this at most predominantly at work when perhaps you feel like you are not able to produce the output that people expect you to produce, but it can come up in other areas of your life. So today we're going to hear their stories. So why don't you guys start by introducing yourself?
I'm Zell. I think most of y'all might know me if you watched the last few episodes of NGL. I'm 35 this year.
Wow.
Yeah, but I would say last time when I struggled with imposter syndrome, I was in the creative industry.
Hi, I'm Silas. I'm 26 this year, so 9 years younger than Zell. And
Wow.
I am also, I think that had to be said. I'm also in the creative industry.
Okay, I'm May Ann. I'm 24 this year and I'm in the non-profit industry now. Yeah.
Okay, so why don't you guys tell us like your experience with imposter syndrome?
When I was in uni, I remember my first lecture, right? I sat down in the lecture theatre and I was just so confused with what everybody was like talking about. Then it just continued with my other mods. We had one mod where we were talking about our nation being a unicorn or something like that. And I was thinking in the mod, like, why is he even talking about? The only unicorn I know is like from My Little Pony, right? Like, how come?
Favorite.
I remember just thinking there, and I had to class part. I was like, okay, there's no way like I'm faking my way through this, and I just felt like, do I even belong like in uni? I feel like every morning, right, I wake up and I chose to cosplay as a uni student. It's like it's damn difficult. Like I just couldn't. Like I didn't know what to do. Like yeah, so I think that was when I started feeling like maybe I don't really belong in uni. Maybe I'm not really qualified to be in this course.
Wow.
Yeah, so I think that's when it started. But then also like after uni we had to do our internships, right? So my first ever internship, then that's when I felt it, I think really the strongest. So I was working for a family office. I was managing like their philanthropy side of stuff lah. So I was like giving grants to people into non-profits.
As an intern, you're the
As
one.
an intern, yeah. So the team was really small. And I was thinking like, I don't even know how to do it. Then my boss will let me go for like events by myself, meet clients by myself. They say want to introduce me to the minister. I'm like, what do I even say to a minister? Like, hi.
Talk about Singapore being a unicorn.
Unicorn, yeah, that's true. Little Pony, yeah. So I remember being like, in those moments, I was like, I'm really not qualified for this. I'm not qualified to handle this amount of money. I'm not qualified to speak to these people.
Wow.
Yeah, so I remember, wow, it was quite scary for me, quite like anxious when I was there in these moments. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it comes out especially in first job experiences when like you're actually hired to do something, but you have no idea what you're doing, right?
Correct.
So
That's a perfect preamble to my career. So I felt it, I think a bit in uni also, so much like me, but I think most pronounced it was in my first job, which is my current job. So basically I managed to get this job without sitting for any sort of interview or test.
okay.
Direct hire.
Yeah, I guess that's how you label it. I was in my second year of uni. I was just writing on the site for this online Christian publication. Then one of the last few articles I wrote before, this CEO of my current company read it. He apparently read it online, and then he liked what I wrote, and he liked the way I wrote, and then he approached me on. He sent one of his directors to approach me on LinkedIn.
Wow.
So the first question was like, "Are you the Silas who wrote this article?"
Oh, okay.
Then I was like, confirm scam. Confirm scam. Yeah. But I think after a few days, I was like, okay, just give it a chance. So I replied, yeah, that's me. And then he came back, he was like, my CEO and I really like what you wrote and we want to talk to you. So I went for that chat, and then when I walked in the room, he only asked me 2 questions. The first one being, what type of creative work do I like out there? Which was, I think I just pulled something out of my backside. I just answered. And then the second question was, when can you start?
This was a CEO.
Yeah, then I was like, start what? I start.
Actually, you didn't even know.
Yeah.
You didn't even know like what the chat was gonna be about,
Yeah,
right?
so he didn't say anything. And then he was like, when can you start working with us? Then I was very taken aback because like, I mean, I'm quite new to interviews, but I didn't know like this is how they would go.
I don't think
And
that's
now
how
I
it
know
goes.
that's not how they go. I've been for other interviews, I know that's not how they go. But yeah, so that was the hiring process. So because I like entered the company based on like what he thought of me,
That article that you wrote.
not based on any sort of merit or anything that I had done to impress them. I just felt like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be here.
Did
Maybe I
he
don't
say
deserve to
what
be
he
here.
thought of you?
See, basically like the way I write lah. He said there's a lot of like soul. There's a lot of
Wow, so yeah.
don't say.
You cannot already.
But
So you felt like you would need to fit into this like impression
Yeah.
that he had about you.
And it was one article.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like I went to reread the article, like, what was it, man? Like I need to replicate
Got one
it.
part you put semicolon instead of full stop. You're like, wow, this guy poetic.
Gosh.
Damn. Zia, what about you?
Right.
What's your experience?
Yeah, I think I was interested in advertising. Miraculously, I like got into an advertising company without any prior internship, right? So I think from the off the bat, I already knew like I had to kind of make up for what I didn't have. I remember I was just very prepared to work overtime, to just do what it takes, to learn as fast as I could. Then I don't know why my supervisor, she thought like very highly of me. Barely after a month, right, she went on this 2-week leave. Like she took a holiday. Yeah, so in that 2 weeks, right, I went to meet clients myself. After 1 month,
Oh.
into the job. So I barely was remembering people's names in the office. Yeah, so there were a few client meetings. I just go there. I'm like, I don't know what's going on.
Actually, very scary.
Yeah, and then like the clients are paying money for all these things. So I think there were a lot of late nights or trying to, I guess, try to understand the work, but not really knowing. Going for meetings and typing down notes that I don't understand, and then going back to the creative team and I any question that they ask, right, I confirm don't know. So that 2 weeks was like the scariest part. Yeah.
I'm curious, do you think imposter syndrome is a first job thing?
I do think that because it stems from insecurity. I mean, the whole thing is like when you are somewhat enjoying some benefits or some result that you feel is not proportionate to the effort you put in. Like something too good, better than what you felt like you deserve, what you work for. So I think because it stems from that, it doesn't really matter whether it's your first job or your last job before you die.
I agree with Silas. I feel that when you're new to something, like maybe you take on a new role, as you get on with the role, you gain some experience, maybe you go for some training, you learn a little bit along the way. Maybe that imposter-like feelings might drop a bit. Yeah, but I feel, right, if you are being credited or known by others for something that is actually not really you, or maybe is like
You're
for
not
Silas,
sure
it's just
lah,
that one
whether it's you.
article, right?
Yeah.
And then you,
we
for the
keep-
life of you,
keep
don't know
bringing it up,
what the soul thing, like, what is he trying to, what he saw, right? Then I would think he will spend so much time trying to like match up to that, whatever people credit you for, especially when you don't really think that you have it.
Yeah, so I guess what I'm hearing from you is that it can be partially circumstantial, right? Where let's say you're in new environments, it's a new thing that you're doing, you're not very equipped in it, then those feelings come up. But probably some of it also stems internally lah.
Yeah.
That is not entirely circumstantial. So like for you guys, right, like what are some of these internal things that kind of drive that feeling?
I think for me, right, it was more of having like, okay, so in psych, right, we learn this thing called like a fixed and a growth mindset. So having a fixed mindset is that we believe that we are born like with certain abilities and those things don't change over time. But growth mindset is like you are born with just, certain skills, but everything can be grown over time. Yeah, but I think because I had that, and maybe it's just some things in schools that, like teachers said to me, made fun of some stuff that I wasn't very good at, I kind of internalized that, okay, I think I'm just good at certain things, I'm not good at certain things.
For example?
So like I am like not good at Chinese, and no matter and no matter how I remember Chinese, right, because like in primary school, right, I was so bad at Chinese, I had to write like a daily journal to my teacher so that I
Only
can
you?
improve. Only me, yeah,
Wow.
to improve. So I was like, it's quite nice, right? Like he helped me lah improve. Then at the end of the year, right, he wrote me this card in Chinese. Yeah, he wrote me this card. he
Don't understand,
laminated it somehow, okay. And then he wrote.
Can you say in Chinese what you received?
No.
Probably can't.
She probably didn't
I can say my
understand.
name. Mei-En. Yeah, I was like, yeah.
Mei-En.
She realized the Chinese name.
Then I received it, I was like, wow, you're very nice. It's so encouraging. Then 2 years later, right, when I finally could read it, right, it was a very mean card. It was like,
He laminated
yeah,
it.
yeah.
He wanted you to remember it and keep it
disappointed
forever.
in you. I've never seen anybody so bad at Chinese before.
Like this teacher. Terrible.
Yeah,
Excuse
so,
me, 老师，
I don't remember
你
his name.
很
but like-
bad。
Maybe that's how my journals were like. That's 今天我去 school.
我 hate 他。今天我去 school。
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so as in things like that. So I think it internalized like, yeah, I'm just like, I really try my best to write every day in Chinese. But I think it kind of internalized that, okay, I
Yeah,
just
hard work is not enough.
good. Yeah, I'm just not
Aiyo,
good
okay.
like
Okay.
enough with it, edit also. So I think because I had that, right, then every time I'm doing something that I know I'm not good at, right, I just feel like I really, really need to work very, very hard to like just catch up. I will not excel at it, but I will just be able to like barely like
Scrape
past.
past.
So because I have like that mindset, then I think that kind of like, yeah, internally I keep thinking like, they're gonna find out that I'm not good at it, and they're gonna find out that like naturally I don't have this talent. No matter how hard I work, I will not be as good as someone who's naturally good at it. It's like enough, but I will not excel.
Yeah.
Yeah, so internally then I feel very, very stressed. I'm like, oh no, they're gonna like find out they like hired me for this, but actually not very good at it. Yeah.
So actually when you're in meetings, right, whether
Yeah.
it's like in group projects in uni or at your
Yeah.
internship, do you feel like you're always faking it?
Yeah, like all the
So
time.
you just talking nonsense? Or
Yeah.
like you trying to...
I'm trying to talk nonsense, right? But then I also realize I'm not very good at like talking nonsense. So it's like on the side, like last time online lessons, they're not too bad lah. Like on the side is just Google and then the Zoom class. So like, everything I'm just Googling and I just reading off like, oh, this one kind of makes sense. Like, let me just read it.
It's quite crazy how all this started because of that laminated card.
There was like multiple things lah, but that was one thing. Yeah.
If I were you, I'll go and find him.
Yeah, find him.
Find him on LinkedIn.
And then
give him back the card. I can understand it
You
now.
go and Google
like-
translate a message, send him in Chinese. I help you check.
Thank you.
这个笨蛋。
我现在是 adult. I don't know. What about your? Is it the same as like what Mei-En has just described?
I would add on to that. Like I think it's a product of like the culture that we grew up in. I think the learning and working environment that we've grown up in. Yeah, I'm not trying to get political, but we operate on meritocratic
Yeah,
values, right? So what that means is, if you put in this X amount of effort, you will get an X amount of reward or payoff lah. And then if there is a mismatch in that, right, then it triggers
Yep.
either feelings of unfairness. So typically that happens when like you feel like you put in a lot of effort, but then your payoff is very little. Then you feel like, wow, this is damn unfair. Then you get very upset with the universe or whatever. On the other hand, if you put in not a lot of effort, but then you get a payoff that is disproportionately higher, then you start to feel like maybe I don't deserve to be here lah. Yeah.
But some people will feel differently.
they'll feel like, wow, shocked.
Like, wow, I'm
Can
the shit,
continue
man.
doing this.
Yeah.
Minimum effort, maximum results.
Yeah, I'm
So
like
how
that.
Must be nice, must be nice.
Must be nice being you.
Or like you just take that as like, wow, that's my talent.
But Silas, you don't feel
No,
like
I
that,
think
is
it's
it?
dependent on the circumstance lah. Right. Some situations that might not be the case.
I think maybe it's a coincidence.
Maybe sometimes it's like
Okay.
luck, and you attribute it to like
Like timing
because
lah.
In terms of you, your situation was the article. Like it could be a good timing thing.
We should have a counter.
Just
How many times you mentioned that
happen.
one article?
put here.
You felt that it was not so much of natural talent.
So first few months, I think like I just felt like a fraud lah. Like I sit in the meetings and like I feel the pressure to say something smart
Yeah.
constantly.
Wow.
Yeah, because people expect that of you lah. Even if they're not saying it, like someone will look at me and then I'll be like, oh no, you want me to say something smart. You want me to just like blow you away or something.
Oh my god.
So like I think to compensate for that, I would go and do a lot of research.
Yeah.
So to make sure that at least I know something, bring something to the table, bring something to meetings that would be of value to people lah.
So have you ever failed before and sort of got found out, and how did people respond to it?
So during my internship, I was supposed to help my boss do up her slides. So she was going to present to our big boss, like our CEO. So she told me when she assigned me this piece of work, she was telling me like, be very, very careful with the numbers. Because the boss, right, he's super particular about numbers. So I remember I spent quite some time, I spent a full day, right, just trying to like do up the slides, make it pretty, make it nice. Then apparently 1 hour, right, before the presentation, my boss emailed me to tell me that, hey, you used the completely wrong data set. So everything inside was wrong. The graph was wrong. And so when I saw it, right,
your heart
and
stopped.
It stopped, but like also
Stop again.
and the thing was like, because it was in a different time zone, right? So I didn't see the email.
You couldn't help her.
I couldn't help her. I was asleep.
shucks.
Yeah.
Oh my
So
gosh.
it's only in the morning when I woke up, right, 4 hours past the presentation already, I saw. And I was like, oh my goodness, I was so like, I felt so bad. And then I'm just like, looking at this email wondering, oh my goodness, how she's going to fire me or something. She's going to start looking for a new intern. Like right now, I kept thinking like, she's thinking bad about me. She probably like harbors some like bad thought. She doesn't want to assign me any work anymore. Yeah. And I was super like stressed for the rest of the next 2 weeks because I felt like it was like strike one. I cannot make any other mistakes like during this time. So it led to even more late nights because I was like checking everything. Yeah, I know I was super hard on myself.
Yeah.
I was thinking like, oh no, like such a simple task, I can't even do it. Am I even fit to be a worker? Like it went quite very fast also. So I think for me that's when I found out, okay, actually make mistakes, people do get upset in those moments. But actually after some time, they will probably just move on as well. Yeah. At least that's from my experience with my boss.
So from that,
Yeah.
what you took away was failure sucks, right?
Yeah.
But it's not the end, is it?
Yeah. Can learn from it and then grow from it also.
Oh, that's where the growth mindset comes
Yes,
into
correct.
play.
Yeah.
I have a question. Okay, and I guess that's my role here today, right? Like, for example, you said your article, when you wrote it, one more counter. Like, when you wrote it, you weren't writing it to be discovered or as an interview. So isn't that actually a good thing? That somebody saw it and he saw what you authentically put in without any agenda. Why is that not like an affirmation of your ability? You know, why did that make you feel like, wow,
Yeah.
I can't do it?
No, I think for sure I saw it as a good thing lah. When it first happened, it was
Yeah.
something that was like, oh, this is like a blessing that has dropped into my lap.
Yeah.
Right. But I think I guess the imposter syndrome or those feelings started as I dive deeper into the work lah.
And then you
start to
realise
realize that, hey, actually I don't know if I can do this or I don't think I can live up to that standard that was expected of me. I started to put pressure on myself, started thinking that people were putting pressure on me too. I think for me, like the whole thing about feeling that pressure to live up to that standard, I think really crescendoed when I was put on a project with him, like to work directly with him lah. So then the whole project started by him sending me an email about the brief and everything. He was like, I want to see what you can do now. Then he was like, there will be no guidance, you just go and do.
Damn,
God.
this
I'm
was how many months into work?
It's like 2 months.
Okay.
2 months, yeah. Then I'm like, like shivering, quaking in front of my laptop as I read the email. Yeah, so I think for me up to that point, the approach was to, like I said, compensate for the lack of skill or lack of experience by making sure that I do my due diligence and make sure I read up on everything, and to be whatever I needed to be for whoever needed whatever. Like if you want me to dance for you, I will dance for you. You need me to go and read, go do the research, do the dirty work, go and talk to people, I will do it. But up to that point, it was all guided. It was all based on specific instruction given to me.
But this was like open,
yeah,
no
so
brief.
the brief was there, but it's like, you go and figure it out. So I spent like, I think good like 2 days and 2 nights working on it. This was during my part-time stint with them. Yeah, so I didn't go to class. Produced, in my opinion, something that I was quite proud of.
Yeah.
I sent it to him, and then like I think that you know that waiting time between when you send your boss something and then when your boss gets back to you, it's like you cannot do anything. Like I just want to go to his house and ask him, please read it now. Yeah. Please read it now and tell me what you think. And tell me that it's good work. Don't tell me what you think, honestly. Yeah. So he came back like 5 to 10 minutes later. With like a very quick email, and it's like 1 sentence. I remember like verbatim, I was like, this has no soul. Full stop. And so like it started off with him saying I have soul, and then
Yeah.
this having no soul. The thing about that being the criteria
that-
of
yeah.
The very thing they
judges
he
me,
hired you
it's
for.
so like, but it's so like unquantifiable. It's so like you can't really
Yeah.
qualify it, right? Like, it's not like I can go and look at like my heart, and like there's some level like, oh, today my soul levels are like,
very low.
very low
Have
today.
a bit low.
Yeah. So it was very difficult
no.
because the instructions were vague, and then the
Yeah.
feedback was also just as vague, if not even more vague.
You don't know how to feel after that, right?
Oh, I know how I felt lah.
Your soul left your body.
Yeah. So at that point, I know for sure. I don't soul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How,
like,
how do you feel?
I was
about you?
quite shattered lah, to be honest. Like it felt very. I felt quite low because like the very thing that he had supposedly hired me for was the thing that I am now missing. Yeah.
Oh wow.
So at least I was clear on that lah. That like, I'm not living up to that standard. Yeah, I'm not performing up to the level in which he expected me to. Yeah, and like the email thread, there were more than just me and him lah. So I think that didn't help either.
Yeah.
So now I know like these 5 people in the thread also think the same way.
Okay.
Yeah, so it confirmed for me that I'm not ready lah. That I'm not good enough. Yeah. So so that was quite shattering lah for my self-confidence and self-esteem. I went back and looked and keep rereading that email like that one line. At least it was
You
this
laminated
has
it.
no soul. and
Laminate
not
it
like,
in your head.
You have no
Yeah.
soul.
Yeah, no, I was
that's-
gonna
that's the thing.
say.
Actually, that's
It's
a
not
very
that you
good
have no
Yeah.
soul,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but you took it as you have no soul.
Yeah. So I think the wider point is like when it comes to imposter syndrome, we are extremely sensitive to like criticism lah, because we build our identities around what other people say. So it's criticism and affirmation. But especially for criticism, when somebody critiques a piece of work, you take it as an extension of yourself, as an extension of your value to that person or to the company. And then when it's criticism, then it feels personal lah.
Yeah.
So like when he says this has no soul, I felt like you have no soul, you suck. Yeah. But obviously that's not what he was saying.
Yeah, I'm wondering for you guys now that like, okay, because like for you it came up in uni and now you're quite a bit beyond that already, right? And for Silas in your first few months at work, like how is it now, you know, along the way, like were there things that you guys realized, learned as you thought about it a bit more?
I think for me, like the big thing that kind of helped me deal with this imposter syndrome was figuring out this fix and growth mindset thing. I keep thinking like the world is just already fixed, like your competency level is fixed. Yeah. So I think when I realized that, hey, actually I have that, right? Then I was like, okay, actually can change. Actually a lot of things in life, you can work hard at it and you can grow. Maybe it's a bit slower than others, but you can grow at it also. Yeah, so I think having that helped me to, one, take myself a lot less seriously. Like, I always fear that like, I'll disappoint people if they find out that I'm not good enough or they find out that they like hired the wrong person. I'm afraid that they will view me very differently, that they will like regret hiring me, I don't know, or something like that. Yeah. So whereas I took myself very, very seriously. Every mistake I make, right, I really condemn myself very, very hard. Yeah. But every time that I did something right, then or they praise me for something, then I feel like, wow, okay, managed to fool them once again. Like, yeah, they didn't, yeah.
And it doesn't really help to build your confidence?
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't make me feel like, oh, actually I can do it.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but I think once I realized that, okay, there's a growth mindset, I can grow. As much as a part of the growth is making mistakes also. Yeah. So I think once I realized that, then slowly I realized, okay, actually maybe at the beginning I will feel like an imposter, right? But after some time when you really practice and you put in enough hard work, or you don't like dwell so much on just feeling like, I'm not good enough, I'm so insecure, I can't do this. But you actually channel some of that like energy, I guess, to actually doing something and trying your best to be better at it. Allow people's like affirmations even like to take a bit more weight in your life and not just like quickly like pass it off as like, it's just luck or it's just coincidence. Yeah. Then I realized that kind of helped to slowly build some of that confidence. So once in a while now I still feel it. I think as long as you go to a new position, a new place, you're doing a new JD, a new project, right? You will feel a bit of it. It's like, cause it's something new.
Yeah.
But when you realize, okay, I'm just new and I'm just going to try it.
So do you guys think that you will ever overcome imposter syndrome?
I think I speak for insecure people lah. Yeah, and I will admit that I grew up very, very insecure. I think because like what Zell said, of the environment that I grew up in lah. So I grew up in schools and CCAs where excellence was almost always expected lah. I think it's a very like Singaporean thing lah. Like if you're not performing up to a certain standard, then you are like of little value to the place you're in lah. So I remember having like teachers always like calling out students who are performing badly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Relate.
A bit like your Chinese teacher, but there were no cards. Like, at least he give you a card.
At least.
Yeah. But I remember like in JC, for example, like I was one of 3 students who had failed like what's the J1 exam?
PW.
Promos.
PW.
the promos.
Promos.
Yeah,
So the way my teacher told me about it was really quite savage lah. So like she asked me to guess my results.
Walao.
Then you know if you fail JC papers, it's
Yeah.
either S or U. So she
Yeah,
asked me
yeah.
to guess. Then I say, S ah. Then she, no, U. Then give me my paper.
She's in bed.
Then I'm like, what?
With that tone, with
Yeah.
that what?
No, because like she's some auntie lah. Then, like,
she not a
before
teacher
that, she was
anymore?
giving out cookies to people who did well.
Walao, damn bad.
And then she was like, those who failed, like come and see
No
me
cookie for
specially.
you.
And she give brownie lah to like, encourage lah, but like
Wow.
I didn't really feel very encouraged.
No man.
That tone, my goodness.
Yeah.
So you rather get that or the laminated card that tell you are damn
At least you got brownie.
Brownie plus a guessing game. Yeah, like so instances like that lah. Then just perpetuates that whole like, oh, my entire value is based on what people think of me. When you enter an environment where affirmation is hard to come by, for example, or if criticism is very easy to come by, then your entire self-identity is
Yeah.
on shifting sand lah.
And that also becomes the way you talk to yourself. lor.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then my coping mechanism is I become self-critical. I'm the first person to like criticize myself.
Yeah.
Like this is not good enough. This has no soul. Like you could better
I
do
have
something.
no
about it.
soul.
Yeah. I think because of that, like the way I'm wired, could potentially make it harder for me to
Receive.
and to deal with this whole issue of like imposter syndrome lah. But I think for me at least, is learning how to cope with it. Yeah, maybe I wouldn't say that I can completely eradicate it. I won't say that I can completely like rid myself of these feelings. But then when these feelings come, like, how do I then cope with them? And I think there is a healthy process that I can go through. And like what I said, like focusing on your strengths and learning how to hone them. But then also being quite aware of your weaknesses by being very discerning about the criticism you receive. So like not to take it as a personal attack, but to take it as within that criticism there is at the very least a germ of a thought that can help you improve.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you will look for that.
Yeah,
or
it's a
have
very painful process.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it needs a lot of courage because sometimes if you can't find it yourself, then you have to have a conversation with that person that gave you that feedback to try to dig it out. Yeah, which it requires a level of courage to do that.
Thanks.
Very good.
Yeah, what about you?
Thanks.
he cannot accept this.
But you say bad things now here.
Yeah, he will laugh at himself.
Yeah, but I agree also. I don't think I can completely like eradicate it, like never feel it again. I also realized that in my life, I will always feel like an imposter in some way or another, and that's also a sign of growth. If as long as I'm put in a new place to grow, if I go to a new job, I might start feeling it again. Yeah, and I guess shifting your perspective rather than feeling like I just need to match up before I am being found out. Instead of seeing it's like, okay, this is an opportunity for me to grow and to learn new things and to become better at where I'm at. Then I think in some way that helps me to kind of overcome it. So I don't just keep going in thinking I'm an imposter. I'm just new and I'm just inexperienced and I'm here to learn something. Yeah. And I also agree a lot about I guess being very aware of the thoughts that you have, how critical I may be to myself also, and allowing myself to kind of know at what point I am being overly critical. Yeah, there has to be some sort of like awareness and humility. If not, you would think like I'm actually very good, but you're not, and you have to grow. Yeah, so I think having some time to process some of these thoughts that you have rather than just let it run wild, or even processing it with someone, I realize it helps a lot because those people who know you, they can call you out when you're not doing well, but they also will build you up because they also know that you are not just these mistakes that you make. You're not just you're not just inexperienced.
Yeah,
things like
which I guess is very helpful with overthinking because I find it very hard if you're an overthinker to identify like, okay, this point onwards,
Yeah, that's
I'm
true.
overthinking. Like it's not always so clear.
Yeah, it is. So having someone
talking
help
it
a lot.
out helps.
Yeah.
Wow. I think we covered quite a bit about imposter syndrome today. Thanks for sharing your stories with us. We hope you find that Chinese teacher and can explain your life in Chinese to him today.
I don't think I can
Wow.
still. Okay.
But yeah, thank you for sharing your stories. I think it took quite a bit to share something so personal, as well as recounting some of these stories of what you would call failure, I guess. But to our listeners as well, I hope that as you listen to this, you do know that the feelings that you have are not unique. The feelings that you have are other people resonate with them as well. And in their journey, they have found some way to move forward with it, even though there may be a tendency to feeling this at times. So yeah, I hope that on your journey, you also find these people who can support you and come alongside you as you figure this part of your life out as well. So thank you for joining us for today's episode. We will see you in our next episode again, and drop us comments in our comment section, in our DMs as to the topics that you would like to hear us talk about. So as usual, you can find us on Instagram and TikTok at ngl.people. You can join our Telegram channel, and you can watch our episodes on YouTube, Spotify, as well as Apple Podcasts. Till the next episode, bye!
Bye.
Bye.